Hey, everybody, it's AFC Northerners. Woo!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys, what a week. We are back. It has been absolute chaos. It's so much fun. But first, I'm going to start off, introduce everybody, and starting out with the Bengals
Hi, I'm Rob Gressis, Bengals guy.
and Browns
Dave Green, Browns guy.
and Steelers.
What's up, everybody? Chris Atkins, Steelers guy.
Awesome. I'm Jan David Sutar. And as always, guys, if you like the channel, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to us. You can also find us on Patreon, where you can subscribe and get even more content. We've got newsletters and all kinds of cool stuff, hot takes, and you can visit us online, afcnortherners.com. You'll see the hot take meter. Click on that, fill it out, send it to us. We'd love to have it. We got a newsletter that also runs through the afcnortherners.com website. If you go to the bottom, you can fill out that newsletter to you every Friday with the latest AFC North news and each of our AFC Northerners hot takes. With that being said, let's get into the show. Obviously, I'm the Ravens, and we start with me because okay, I'm just gonna say it. The Ravens had the wildest free agency opening I think I can ever remember. We agreed to trade for Maxx Crosby, had 2 first-round picks, and then backed out the next morning over a failed physical. And then within 24 hours, we signed Trey Hendrickson to 4 years, 112 million, and that's pretty crazy. So yeah, amazing time. So if you're down for this, everybody go get a drink and let's grab into it. So tonight we're going to be talking about Ravens chaos, Bengals going shopping, Steelers making smart moves and then something insane, and then the Browns rebuilding the Great Wall of Cleveland. And we've got league-wide QB madness. So starting out here, let's get into it. Maxx Crosby, the Crosby that never was. So starting with the elephant in the room, Monday morning, Ravens trading 2 first-rounders to to the Raiders for Maxx Crosby. Ravens fans, I was doing backflips. I don't know. I was like, yeah, it was so exciting. Like the group chat was on fire. And then the news came, failed physical, deal done. Everyone's confused. Everybody's mad at Ravens. Everybody hates us. And that was really the kind of the reporting vibe was that it was that. And then Trey Hendrickson gets signed. And he was already in talks with Baltimore before the Crosby deal died, but that hadn't really come out at the beginning of this whole. I don't know what to call it. Debacle. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Debacle. So there's a lot of things going there. And there was even conspiracy theories going around, which was Baltimore plays chicken on purpose, lowballs Trey because they think that Crosby's coming, and then Crosby's knee looks scary. And so Trey's prices is what it is, and the Ravens go, and it was all a setup, right? There was a lot of that. And I personally do not agree with that take whatsoever. So you have to understand the timeline of how this really went down. So Maxx Crosby was called to the trade deal. The deal was put together on a Friday. He couldn't come out and fly out on a Saturday. He had I believe, a charity event to go to on that Saturday. And so he came in on that Sunday. So Sunday he comes in, they do the physical, and then it appears that there's something not quite right with the knee in rehabilitation. And so here is where you really see the definitions of 2 different medical staffs differ on the term rehabilitated knee and healthy knee and what it's going to look like. And so from watching EDC's presser and really kind of keeping my ear to the ground on all the things that were happening, what it appears to basically be is that Maxx Crosby got there, did his physical, was feeling good, but there were some things that the doctors at the Ravens organization saw. And the Ravens are known to have a really good medical team. They're also known to be a little bit conservative whenever it comes to, how they handle injuries. And what they saw did not jive with what they were about to put out, which was 2 first-round picks. And so Eric DaCosta, general manager of the Ravens, really had to make a hard choice. Do you continue with the deal and get a player that you may not even be able to play that year, depending on the rehabilitation, and also lose 2 first-round draft picks and capital? Or do you go back on it because the window is not closed and keep those 2 first-round draft picks, still sign your Trey Hendrickson, and make the best out of it you could. And everybody's probably mad at the Ravens organization one way or the other. I'm not really down on this because from my perspective, it makes sense. You had a player who could have been amazing. Like it really, really was like a gut punch not to get him. But at the same time, the Ravens organization says he's not healthy. He's not going to be ready in time. Who knows how he's going to play this year? And we gave up 2 first-round draft picks for it. It's just not a viable solution, nor is it really even economical from a Ravens perspective. So for me, I think that it would have been amazing to have both Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson on that edge going in towards, but unfortunately it just didn't work out. But man, the league and especially Raiders Nation. And Raiders Nation, I love you guys. I saw the Raiders and Ravens play at the old Coliseum in Oakland, and Raiders Nation was so cool to us, even though we lost pretty badly on that game in the pre-Lamar Jackson era. But they're really mad at things, and I don't know that, I don't know if I quite agree with all the hyperbole, but I do understand that you were really looking forward to getting those picks, and you were really looking forward to Maxx Crosby going on, but now you still have Maxx Crosby. Nothing's really lost, so I don't really quite understand the outrage. So all of that being said, my take on it is that EDC did the smartest thing for the franchise that he could. It didn't work out. He had to do the next smartest thing for the franchise, and now here we are with Trey Hendrickson and 2 draft picks. So that's my take on that. What do you guys think?
I have a lot to say. So I don't know. It seems to me that you're buying the Ravens story sort of hook, line, and sinker. Like you're just accepting everything they're saying. And I just want to point out that lots and lots of GMs across the league do not believe the story. Now, it would make sense if John Spytek didn't believe the story because, it's in his interest not to. But I think there's a lot of neutral parties who think that this is, I forgot who said it, but Adam Schefter or something said that a lot of them think it's bullshit, that what the Ravens have been doing. And so as you portray the situation, what's been going on is that they have a conservative medical staff. They looked at his knee. They concluded, you know what? He's not as healthy as we thought, so we need to back out of this deal. Oh, what luck. Trey Hendrickson is still available. We'll get Trey. Boy, if only we could have had Trey and Max. That would have been great. That's what we wanted the whole time. But no, we're just going to have to settle for Trey. So first of all, they were calling Trey Hendrickson the day that Max was there, right? That's what I recall reading.
So the conversation with Trey actually was leading even after, because once the Bengals released Trey, that conversation was the next day. From what the reports that I read, the Ravens were already in talks with Trey Hendrickson to bring him on because they really did want the dual threat of Crosby and Hendrickson.
I don't believe that. I don't believe. I think that's what they're saying. I think that they're saying the reason we called them is we wanted the dual threat. I think the reason they called them is that they got cold feet. As for the medical thing being worse than they thought, again, I don't know if I should believe that. Everybody had seen a lot of his stuff on him. Doctors had been testifying to him being ready to play. You've done this before. The only organization, right, that had done this 2 prior times with 2 other players where you were going to make the trade and then you backed out of the trade. I forgot.
It only happened one other time.
It happened 2 other times.
What were the other? What were the 2 times?
I don't know any of the names. I mean, it's Ravens stuff. I try not to think about it. It will corrupt the soul. But I think it's. I forgot the guy's name. Mark something. There was a guy.
There was the only time we did it in the past was whenever it was a QB.
It was 2018.
Yeah,
we did it. But there was a guy who was talking about how this guy had never been injured. This friend of him, and he was saying that the Ravens said he didn't pass the physical, and then the next year he played, he was fine. He didn't get injured. Then the year after that, he got injured. But you can't necessarily say it was because of some underlying condition that the Ravens saw. I mean, people are going to get injured eventually. But
I would say that my pushback here is that you're dealing with Las Vegas doctors that don't have the same facilities as Baltimore does and Johns Hopkins and their.
Well, Dallas too. Dallas has good facilities.
Dallas has not bad facilities. I still would not say that they compare to the Ravens in the same way.
Well, I don't know.
Okay. I got to ask this question. And you guys seem like the two that answer this. What do the Ravens get out of backing out? Like, what's the motivator?
2 first-round picks. They get back. They get a guy, Trey Hendrickson, who gets you a lot of what Maxx Crosby gets you, and they get him for a lot cheaper than Maxx Crosby. I think Crosby would have been $35 million. Trey was $28 million. And
so it's the better deal. It's the better
deal. And
here's the thing: at the time, they didn't really have the cap space because they were still trying to fight to get Tyler Linderbaum at the same time, right? They were also trying to see if they could keep in Likely as well. And so the issue is that they even restructured Lamar Jackson's contract so they had a little bit more space in that cap room. So that to me doesn't quite fly. I guess what they would have gotten is they were trying to get Maxx Crosby for 2 first rounds so they didn't have to spend any more money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's why that came in. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a draft capital conversation. It would be a cap capital conversation. Right. So you were using those 2 first round draft picks to solidify that. And by backing out, to me, the only thing they got Trey Hendrickson, who was the person they were, according to the EDC, according to the Ravens, they were trying to go for anyway. And I don't see anything that makes me not believe that. I'm sure that, everybody else is skeptical. I'm sure. But they really kind of there's not much to gain by backing out of that other than getting your first 2 round picks back. Sure, you may have gotten cold feet, but, do I care more that we kept our picks and got Hendrickson? No. I do not.
It seems like a lot. It seems like a stretch to get that far in and then realize, you know what? We really don't want to give those picks up. I mean, I try to find that conspiracy in there, and I just can't find it. I mean, NFL teams, if you're their guy, they will go find you. If you look at a Ricky Williams and the Saints saying, "Hey, we're going to give up our entire draft to get this one guy because we think he's the
ludicrous.
Guy." Ludicrous, right? Obviously, yes. But the point being, NFL teams will make that leap to find their guy or to get the guy. And it seems like if the Ravens were thinking Max is the guy and to put all that work into it, it's really odd to wait until that physical comes back to say, we kind of have cold feet here. I see it from all angles, but it seems like a stretch to me.
So DGBG, you want to say something?
You mentioned a failed Ravens trade 2018. It was a wide receiver named Ryan Grant.
Yeah.
Baltimore offered him a 4-year, $29 million contract, and then they backed out of it due to a failed ankle injury.
Right. And then there was one other too that I thought was like a QB, but my brain, I'm kind of tired, guys. So my brain is not clicking on who that was.
Why don't we address the fact that you guys let him fly into the airport, Maxx Crosby, and nobody was there to pick him up? You flew.
Oh yeah, I heard about this conspirary theory part too. I heard about that too.
You don't pick him up. You bring him into the facility. And DaCosta nor Minter meet the guy at all. It takes 6 hours before they meet him.
Right.
And you guys,
which is not uncommon either, because he's still making other trades and doing other things. They had to go through the whole medical process first before they even meet.
If that's your big guy, that's what you're really gunning at. You're meeting him at the airport. I mean,
I think that in that time he was in a meeting right then with Lamar Jackson trying to get everything restructured. So it kind of makes sense that he wouldn't have been present for it. The thing that the one where that line of thinking though does hook me is that Jesse Minter didn't meet up with him instead of EDC. That to me was why not? But again, I wasn't there. I wasn't in the building in that. But that one was I didn't quite understand why at least the head coach wouldn't have come in to meet. Or any for just to be the medical staff. And the thing about him flying in is because, so Maxx Crosby has a private jet, and he flew in, but he didn't flew into BWI. He flew into Dulles, and so they didn't have a car waiting for him because he flew into a different airport.
Well, Chris, that shouldn't convince you though, because you were just saying that NFL teams move heaven and earth to try to get players. So you would expect, if you're right, that they would actually be at Dulles. I mean, we're not talking about the Bengals here. Joe Flacco drove himself down to Cincinnati, right?
Hey, you can call him an Uber Black from your phone. If you want him that
totally.
bad. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy.
No, that came out today or yesterday. Was that right, DGPG?
It was earlier today, and
Yeah.
I read that it was Max Crosby actually posted that.
Yeah, no, totally. So Max Crosby, this is all coming up from the mouth of Max Crosby, who has been posting like videos of him like tackling Ravens like offensive players since the whole thing went down. So clearly he's got an axe to grind, and he's like, the idea like, fuck you, I didn't fail my physical, I'll show you, and then just trying to air out a whole bunch of things. But you know what? I totally understand if the dude has like anger issues that he needs to work out in this regard. Makes sense. If somebody wasn't there to pick him up, then like, so sorry. Your private jet just couldn't get us there.
Look, I'm not that concerned about the car stuff. I think what happened, best case scenario for the Ravens, is they looked at the medicals. It was a little worse than they expected. They saw that Trey wasn't getting picked up. They were losing players like Likely and Linderbaum. They started to panic, and they decided, you know what? We can back out of this Max Crosby thing. We can get the 2 first-round picks. We can get Trey Hendrickson, which would be pretty close to good enough. And so let's just do that. And I think the biggest reason I'm skeptical of Eric DeCosta, well, there's 2 reasons. First of all, he's a general manager, right? Like, why is he going to tell us the truth? I don't think he thinks he has an obligation to be honest to the public. I mean, he's not going to like out and out totally lie. Like he would say in his press conference he was gutted. I think what he was gutted about was having to tell Max Crosby, sorry, we're not doing it. I don't think he was gutted about the decision. And in the press conference, he said his number one obligation is to make the Ravens a better team. And so, like, just given what his job is, right? Like, he's not going to try to, out of a sense of honor, protect Max Crosby's feelings or anything like that. He's going to do what's best for the Ravens. And I think they concluded that this is what's best for the Ravens. I do think the fact that, and here's my second point, the fact that all these general managers are so skeptical of this is the biggest bit of evidence I think there is that we shouldn't believe DeCosta's story. It'd be one thing, like I said, if it was all coming from one camp.
All of these general managers who are not willing to go on record that somebody is saying so-and-so said this to me. Sure, I'll believe it. Sure.
Okay, so they're just saying it just to try to paint the Ravens in a bad light?
Well, first of all, it depends on the reporter that's reporting on it, because
I think
don't know.
It was Fowler.
Who is
Jeremy
it?
Fowler.
Jeremy Fowler? Okay. Yeah, because, I mean, sure. The GMs are always going to take the opportunity to try to make somebody else from another team look bad, right?
Okay, so you're saying that GMs are not honest?
I mean,
except for DeCosta?
And I'm also saying that, like, yes, GMs can be dishonest. Anybody can be dishonest. To say otherwise would be fallacious.
Well, it would be dishonest.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I did not read, to Chris's point, that, like, I didn't see what they would be getting out of it, really. Like, that's a better deal. The heart of the story.
It's a better deal.
Here's what I'm afraid of.
Like, instead of getting $30 million for Trey, it was 28, so it was $2 million less.
Yeah,
and that, like,
and they get 2 first-round picks.
They get their 2 first-round picks.
You prefer Max over Trey and 2 first-round picks?
I would definitely prefer. I honestly thought, okay, straight up, I thought 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby was a lot. I was like, okay, sure, if he's healthy, rock on. But whenever it turned out that he wasn't, and they went back, I was like, all right, cool, makes sense to me. Like, because I did not have an issue. I don't have an issue with having a player that you think is going to perform at a certain level, and then whenever and handing 2 first-round picks to the team that you're trading, and then finding out that player is not going to be what you expected of them, and you're not even sure when they'll be able to play, and saying, nope, that doesn't work for me. The legal tampering period has not ended. Let me take those picks back. Okay. I'm fine with that.
I'm going to make a prediction. My prediction is Max Crosby will start the season just fine for the Raiders.
Okay, put that on your hot take on the website.
Is that a hot take?
Yeah. Put that on your hot take.
Does that change your assessment of anything? Of Ravens doctors?
I mean, if he comes out and he's 100% and he's like throwing down this season, then sure, I will definitely question the Ravens' decision making there. But I have seen, I've seen, if this were 3 years ago under Harbaugh, whenever we had a bunch of players getting injured left and right, and for no good reason, really, I would say, yeah, you know, this makes more sense. But I would also say that, like, in during that period of time, we really kind of got our shit back together, where we were really, really on top of like getting everybody healed up. And so for
2 years ago, you were.
no, that like in the
Last
last
season,
couple of
you
years
weren't so
after that.
great.
Huh?
I think you had a lot of injuries last season.
We had,
Two,
yeah, we
two
had
seasons
injuries
ago,
last
you were
season, but
really
like,
healthy.
yeah, it was like a few years back. Last season was kind of sketchy too, but I would say that if Max comes out and he plays his heart out, like, more power to him. I got nothing against the guy.
No,
I was really excited about having him here. If the Ravens organization is wrong about Max Crosby's status, then they are wrong about Max Crosby's status.
I'm not saying anything big. All I want everybody to know is that the Ravens are an organization of liars. That's it.
Okay.
Very competent, though. Very competent.
Sure.
I have a hot take for you guys. I don't think Max Crosby starts for the Raiders this coming season. I think that he, one way or another, needs out. And crazy prediction, I see him wearing a star on the side of his helmet next season.
Oh, interesting. You think he'd go to the Cowboys?
I think he replaces the void that Michael Parsons left there. And I think he fits in very, very well in that Dallas locker room.
Yeah. I don't disagree. In my heart of hearts, what would be it? I would feel so justified. I would feel so justified if Max is actually injured for the season, doesn't play, winds up getting released, and then the Ravens pick him up.
Wouldn't that be something?
I know. There's no way in hell, but I would feel really, really happy about. I would be like, "Yay, it worked out!" You know, of course I would. But I mean, again, like, you know, my question, especially for Rob, as a Bengal who knows, you know, Hendrickson, in your opinion, is 112 million for a 4-year contract for a 31-year-old coming off of a core muscle surgery. Is that too much, or were the Ravens even lucky he was available for you?
I think it all depends on how good your run defense is, independent of Hendrickson. And I don't know what your defensive coordinator scheme is going to be. I don't know if you know either.
No, we don't. I mean, we're pretty new, and you know, Hendrickson's run defense, his run stop win rate is not
bad. He's 58 on PFF. He's 90 for pass rush.
Yeah, so, no, totally.
And he doesn't exactly set the edge, but like he does swing around guys, and he creates a lot more work for your other defensive players.
Yeah.
So do you have players who can do that? If you do, then he's going to be great for you. And if they can stop the run and that kind of stuff, and you know he's going to get in there. He has a lot of sacks, and it was a lot of them in 2024 were against not so great offensive lines. Yeah. But like, you know, before that he was pretty good. I think we'll just have to, yeah.
I was going to say he's third in the NFL behind Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. You know, 74 and a half sacks, back-to-back 17-plus sack seasons.
Yeah, it was four. It wasn't it 4 in a row that he had like 17 and a half. I mean, last year he only had 4 because he only played in 7 games and got injured. But like, I just think it depends on your scheme if he's going to be worth it. Now, you know, he's 32. He's coming off the injury. We'll see how he does. He's really tough. He works really hard. He's very Crosby-esque in his like attitude towards injuries. He plays through a lot. I didn't even get to my philosophical disquisition about norms against rules, but I think that means that we might no longer have a legal tampering period thanks to the Ravens, but we'll see.
You know, it's going to be interesting if that goes away.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, it'd be the Ravens rule instead of the Rooney rule.
I mean, I never just understood how you even say you police that with a straight face. Like you're policing guys. Yeah, you're policing guys talking to each other. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, but if we don't have a legal tampering period, then it'll immediately start in free agency. And then I don't know what sort of effects that has on trades and stuff like that. I guess everything just signs immediately. There's no backsies at all.
Yeah. You know, I I think that if it survives next year, then it's definitely probably going to stay at least for a few years. But if it doesn't survive the next year, then yeah, I totally agree. I'm really kind of surprised that it has lasted as long as it has. But technically the Ravens did nothing illegal. So
That's true. That's why it would have to be a new rule, and that's why I was distinguishing rules and norms.
Yep.
It's like with the Ravens to me are like the guys who like go out, they like touch gloves, and there's this protect yourself at all times rules, and then some guys take a swing. The Ravens took a swing.
He did
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
But I think I would bet the first year is going to be very good. Second year, I would bet is probably going to be good. After that, he's going to be 34, 35.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm not so sure.
I totally see that point. And that is a question that I have for myself is what do I expect Trey Hendrickson to look like as a Raven? I think that he definitely kind of like plays like a Raven, just like Maxx Crosby in my heart was like, he's a guy that played like a Raven, like really tough on the defense. I'm very curious to see what this defense shapes up like. My hot take also is, looking at like the 9 players that we lost in free agency and the ones that we filled, because we got John Simpson on a 3 years for $30 million. So we got a guard help there after losing Linderbaum. We signed Jalen Hawks 2 years, $10 million at safety bet. Chidobe Awuzie for a 1 year, $5 million for veteran CB. Tyler Huntley, Snoop comes back to us, 2 years, $11 million. And we also picked up Durham Smythe, which is he's a blocking tight end. It's an interesting fit for the new OC, Declan Doyle. We also got a little bit of depth at guard with Javon Gwynn, and there's still a bunch of other players out there as well. So I'm very curious to see how all of this winds up shaping us, both on offense and defense, after all is said and done. But to your point, yeah, I'm curious to see what Trey Hendrickson looks like as a Raven as he plays, especially like against your team, the Bengals, and seeing how your offensive line kind of holds up against him on the edge.
Do you know he's going to be going up against Orlando Brown Jr.? Do you know that in training camp last year they got into a fist fight?
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Or
Yeah,
it might not have been last year, it might have been 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Orlando Brown Jr. was also formerly a Raven.
Right.
And then he went to the Chiefs and he won a Super Bowl. And then he went to the Bengals. And he's been good for you guys,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Last year wasn't great, but he was really good in 2024.
Yeah. And so, I think that's fine. Like you guys have him. He wasn't a good fit for us. I honestly think that like Zeus Jr. has, I like his attitude, but I think he puts it in the wrong places.
All right. What's happening in the rest of the world?
All right. Yeah. We'll move on. So let's go on over to Bengals. So Rob, Bengals lose Hendrickson. And then Cincinnati goes shopping like they got bullied at the mall. So walk us through it. You get Boye Mafe, you get Jonathan Allen, Brian Cook, Orlando Brown Jr. signed for a 2 year.
Yeah. Extension, yeah.
Yeah, $32 million.
And Dalton Reisner.
Yep, re-signed.
And we got a backup quarterback. What is his name? Josh Johnson. That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we lost Osai, and we Tyson Anderson is still in free agency. He's a really good kick returner. And then we lost Jake Browning to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And is there anybody? And of course, Trey Hendrickson to the Ravens. So based on the way, so first of all, the big disappointment is that we didn't get like an off-ball linebacker who can like rush the line of scrimmage and also do good coverage. Like everybody wanted Leo Chenal because basically Al Golden said before free agency started that we want a linebacker who could do coverage, who could rush, and who could, I forgot the third thing, but Chenal could do all 3 things. So everybody basically thought we can get him. And then he was gotten not by us, and he was gotten at a pretty good rate. And so people were very confused as to why we didn't get him. And it seems that the answer is that it has to do with the way the Bengals like to structure their contracts, where they pay 80.9% up front. And so it gives them a lot of flexibility in case the person doesn't pan out, so they can cut them without any dead cap. But it also prevents them from like adding a lot of players to their team. And so after all the like contracts came out, Boye Maffe's and Brian Cook's, they were actually this year the Bengals are paying a fair bit for them. And as a result, we only have like about 5 million left after we sign all the rookie contracts. So that wouldn't quite have been enough for Chanel. So we're going to be looking for maybe we might try to get Akeem Davis Gaither back. I mean, he seems to be the best fit of all the people out there right now. So that was disappointing. But I think based on the way Al Golden does his defense, Brian Cook's really going to be huge. Like, remember, I said last week or 2 weeks ago that Geno Stone was a plant from the Ravens, just more of that organization's continuous deception. And the thing about him is that he missed tons of tackles. Cook isn't going to do that. I think Cook has missed 11 tackles in the last 2 seasons, and over that time, Geno Stone missed 40. And so that's a pretty big disparity. And the way that Golden runs his coverage, the free safety is super important because he has his cornerbacks on islands. So they're not going to be able to look at the quarterback. So the free safety is going to be having to be coordinating all that. So Cook was the best safety on the market. We got him. We're very happy about that. People in Minnesota are pretty bullish on Allen. They think that he didn't have a great year last year, but a lot of that had to do with how Minnesota was using him, and that we think he can fit pretty well in Golden's scheme. And then Mafe, right? Again, Mafe, he was with Seattle, right? And
yes.
And he only got 2 sacks, but again, he wasn't used in the way he's normally used. So I think Mafe's going to be really good.
The scheme changed, his role changed. The pass rush win rate there stayed strong. He's, I agree. I think he's still a 7 to 10 sack guy if used right.
Yeah. So it's not a disaster of an offseason, but if we had gotten a starting linebacker of Chanel's caliber, we'll still get an average starter for the linebacker by the time this is all over. But we also need a slot cornerback too. And I don't know where we're going to get that, if we're going to try to get that in the draft. We might need a CB4 because that's a position where you get injuries all the time. But overall, I'd say, I don't know, a B minus, B. Maybe I'll just say a B. Yeah.
I'll be honest, like if the Bengals get healthy, you've got a scary team. I mean, you got Burrow with Allen inside and Mafe off the edge. That's not the Bengals team that I'm used to laughing at. So, it's really interesting. I do have a real question for you. Like, so Trey dragged Cincinnati through contract drama, right?
Yeah.
And then he ends up in Baltimore. So do you feel betrayed as a fan in that, or is it just business?
No, I mean, as Mark Chalafou said, Trey wanted to go to a team that likes to not honor their contracts. So so he went to the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh.
And he also didn't want to honor his contract either. So I have no hard feelings at all. Trey Hendrickson was the best free agent signing in the history of the Bengals. So more power to him. I don't love the fact that he's going to try to be sacking Joe Burrow, but that's the game. So anyway, I have said way too much. We need to hear from DGBG. We need to hear from Chris.
Yeah, no. So basically,
Rob, real quick before we move on. So a stat I heard a little bit earlier, and it was scary. We were talking about the top 3 sackers, and I think I heard we had Watt, we had Garrett, and then we almost had Crosby in the AFC North as the 3 guys chasing down Burrow. So luckily for you, I think the Crosby deal didn't go through. Yeah. But from what I've seen last year, I mean, you guys could put points up, but you just couldn't stop folks in the right times. Do you think that the defense is making the right moves this year to help that?
Oh, so hold on. You're not asking about the offensive line. You're asking about how our defense, if they're going to be stopping people at the right time?
The point I was making is that the other 3 of us seem to be pretty focused on beefing up those defenses.
Yeah.
Are the Bengals going to take a step forward as well?
So the thing they're focusing on, and now that Golden's got a year under his belt as a defensive coordinator, he's going to be able to do this better, I think. Their big thing is stopping the run for the first 2 downs, forcing the quarterback to go 3rd and long. This is going to work well against any team except for the Ravens because on 3rd and long, Lamar can still run. But but against the Steelers, it should work. Against the Browns, it should work. And then basically, if we do that, we have a lot of faith in our cornerbacks. We have a lot of faith in Brian Cook. So I don't know that we're going to get those kind of stops, like a sack stop, but I do think we're going to have, the defense is going to try to be pretty disruptive. And I think that, on 3rd downs, they're going to try to pin their ears back and rush the quarterback and see what happens. Everybody's going to go forward except for our cornerbacks and our free safety. So I think we'll be getting more sacks than before. But I think we had 30 something last year, which was not great, but I'd like to think we could get into the 40s or 50s. So I think they'll do better. I think my hope is, league average defense, right? 15, 14,
Yeah, league
18, something
average.
like that. And that would be great with our offense.
Yeah, I would say
So,
that. Oh, go ahead.
but no, I was gonna move on, but please, if you have another thought.
I was just gonna say, like, I know that you, Rob, you gave a grade of like a B
Yeah.
minus. Is that what you said?
I did. I mean, because I'm pretty salty about that linebacker thing. But then the
Yeah.
Bengals don't traditionally value the position. It's just that last year we had such bad linebacker play
Yeah.
that it cost us like 3 games in a row that we should have won.
Sure. I didn't give a grade on the Ravens, but after all is said and done, I think that they get a C plus. I mean, in like they got some real good pickups, but they also lost a lot of guys that I wish they had been able to keep. So in free agency so far, I'm not super high on them, but which is why I have no problems with them holding on to the 2 first rounders because we do so well in the draft.
Yeah.
So that to me is a thing. So what about you guys? How do you think the Bengals did so far in free agency?
I really need to see them go after a headliner on that defense. Really, I mean, to
They're
me,
not going to
that
do
would have been
that.
that would have been the feel good moment for me if I were a Bengals fan for this year's free agency.
What about you, DGBG?
I think improvement is made through shrewd acquisition. And come on, we're in Ohio, both the Bengals and the Browns, right? And so in theory, it's a mid-market, we're mid-market teams. The draw to mid-market is really hard to work. And then you have an owner who doesn't want to spend anything. I think their rebuild, their building, it's basically through shrewd acquisition and smart drafting. If I was going to grade what the Bengals have already done, I'd say it's a low B minus, maybe a C plus.
Okay. Yeah, I feel that. I would say like I'm kind of with Rob. Like I would say like it's in the B minus C plus area for me on the Bengals.
Wait,
Um,
I didn't say C plus. I said B or B minus.
you said B or B minus.
And
I'm
now when I
saying
hear your guys' response, I'm going to go up to B.
all right. Well, the Bengals spent some money and the Steelers did Steelers things. And so let's go over to Chris. Pittsburgh. That your week was kind of like a mix of smart pickups and one move that still has me kind of shaking my head, but walk us through it.
So interesting for us. I mean, clearly we're really focused on the offense this year. The two things that I saw that kind of raised my eyebrow a little bit, the two acquisitions, I may mispronounce it here, Dowdle and getting Pittman. So let me talk about the running back situation first. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of our running back room last year. I like the more traditional bigger backs that are going to carry a lot of weight, guys who are going to have 25 to 30 carries a game. And we just haven't had that over the past season. I think we're getting closer to that, but that makes me kind of question, and this is kind of the eyebrow raiser, as we let go of Jonnu Smith, who was one of our tight ends from last year. And the reason that raised my eyebrows because towards the end of the season, I started to see him come into those short yardage rushing situations and doing pretty well, coming out of his tight end role into kind of a power back role, and getting those tough yards for us towards the end of the season. And it started to look like he was picking up momentum within that role. So I thought what was going to happen was Jonnu Smith was going to come back into the backfield, and then you're going to see Kenneth Gainwell start to be more of that split back, slot back role, almost flip-flopping between he and Jonnu Smith in passing and rushing short yardage situations. So Gainwell goes away, Jonnu Smith now goes away, have a new running back come in and Dowdle. I do think he's going to be that more powerful guy that I've been looking for in the backfield, so looking to see how he pans out. And then again, now having Michael Pittman Jr. playing opposite DK Metcalf, I think Metcalf, is probably the happiest Steeler about that, getting a little bit of help. He really didn't have that help getting up and down the field last year. He really took on, either the best defensive back or the double team every passing down last year. So to see him get a little bit of assistance and have someone threaten the other side of the field, I think is going to be awesome for us. Now, who's going to be throwing the ball to those guys? I mean, we think it's going to be Rodgers right now. We think a 43-year-old Aaron Rodgers is going to hobble out onto the field and sling it like a 23-year-old Aaron Rodgers. We'll see about that. I do think that this year's draft is going to be pretty interesting for us as well. I mean, we have right now, I believe, 12 picks coming in. I really focus on the top 3 rounds, and we've got 5 picks in those top 3 rounds. I just feel like that's where you're really focused on filling the gaps in your squad. I think the 4th and 5th rounds, you kind of take your chances on guys who might be more of a development project or to fill a role that doesn't have an immediate need. I think you're going to fill those immediate needs in those top 3 roles. So I'll be very interested to see what kind of player we go after in that first 2 rounds, especially whether it's going to be, are we going to trade up and go for a quarterback? You know, are we going to try to get someone in there who's going to maybe sit behind Rodgers and learn from a legend for a season before we put him out there on the field? Are we going to go after a high end, I'll say, wide receiver to develop over the next couple of years? I mean, the Steelers have done extremely well drafting wide receivers in the top 2-3 rounds. Although those guys tend to flame out after a couple of years, I mean, the first couple of seasons are awesome. I'm still a little burnt up from watching Carl Pickens have the season he did as a Dallas Cowboy. I thought that he kind of progressed and evolved this year. And I do think we saw some of the off the field and kind of maturity issues go away for him. So good for him. And maybe we pulled the plug a little bit too early on him. But I do think we need to go back into the draft and get that dangerous deep threat receiver that he was that we're now missing opposite DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I gotta just to recap. So this is what tell me where I'm wrong. So Michael Pittman Jr. was a trade, 3 years for $59 million. Then you got Jamel Dean, 3 years. I think it was $36.75 million at CB. Let's see, Cam Hayward, right? You guys wound up losing Cam, or did you re-sign him?
I haven't seen yet, to be honest. I
thought
wasn't even.
Yeah, you got Rico Dowdle, Cole Holcomb, Asante Samuel Jr., Darnell Savage, but Minka Fitzpatrick, goes to the Jets. Chris, I gotta ask, like, how do you lose Minka and feel good about any of the rest of it?
I think if you were ever going to get value from Minka or I think Minka is in the last leg of his career, to be honest. I think he still plays at a high level. I think he's in the last leg of his career. And I think with the Steelers defense being what it currently is, having Jalen Ramsey out there who again, Hall of Famer, no doubt, but is definitely in the tail end of his career. I think they need to get some new blood in there in the defensive backfield. And that may be somewhere that you see us spend some of those 3rd round draft picks, because I just don't see the depth there in the backfield. I mean, losing Minka, obviously, huge hit. I think he's going to be just fine wherever he goes. But I do think that we're going to now have to go and get a couple more young guys in that defensive backfield to try out and see who's going to fill those roles.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the anchor of that secondary for years, and I feel like the Jets just got a gift basket. So, yeah, and we've got to talk QB because Pittsburgh's offense is basically great roster and no steering wheel. So, realistic options: Rodgers, trade market, rookie competition. Like, what you think that you're going? I think you said earlier you're thinking about draft for a QB.
There's this mystery out there on Will Howard. I mean, I really want to see what we have. We just had that very brief window looking into the preseason last year. I've heard good things about how he's been performing, in our facilities, in practices, in drills. But I need to see that on the field to see how that translates. I do think that Beck down in Miami is an interesting pick. I mean, am I saying he's the guy? I don't know, but I kind of like something about his moxie and the way he's played over the past couple seasons. Don't love how he kind of went from Georgia to Miami, right at the end there, but I do notice the fact that when he was at Georgia, Georgia was a contender for the national championship. When he was at Miami, Miami was a contender for the national championship. So something to be said about that, even though he didn't pan out for him in those games.
Yeah, I mean, if Rodgers retires or go somewhere else, I mean, do you think that if they get Howard, do they just roll Howard and punt the season?
I think if they get the feeling that Rodgers is not going to play, I think if there's not a clear and present draft target, then immediately we go into free agency to see what other quarterbacks are out there. And I don't know how thin that is right now. There's no one really that comes to mind as far as a quarterback that's out there that I would want. And it's a shame the Steelers have put ourselves in this position. I mean, you hear all the Steelers alumni just crying out, do something, make a move. And if Aaron's not fully committed, let's find the next guy up. Now, again, Hall of Famer, one of the best hurlers we've ever seen do it. You don't want to count him out, and you don't want to be in a position to where he doesn't want to because we've now put him out. But by the same token, you really have to start to think about what happens tomorrow. And I don't know what that is right now, to be honest.
Yeah, it feels to me like the Steelers are trying to win the division with the power of friendship at quarterback right now.
And, we did the same thing with Roethlisberger. I mean, Roethlisberger was probably 2 seasons past his prime once he finally turned it in. And I think that had we had, that Malik Willis on the team years ago, that it would have been even simple. And Malik came after, but if we would have had someone like that was able to pick up that torch, I think it would have been an easier transition out for Ben. There was no one home when he was on his way out.
Yeah, I mean, there had Mason Rudolph vibes. But, I mean, I also want to remind you that the year previously was Russell Wilson at QB. So it feels like it's been, let's get a veteran QB and just roll with that. But, I'm very curious to see what happens with the offense of the Steelers because it feels very funky. Anybody else want to chime in?
I mean,
Cam Hayward, 2-year deal for $32.25 million. It was an extension through 27. He's got a cap hit of 5.5, and they guaranteed 16.25 for him. I just wanted to.
I was starting to give up on Cam early in the season, but late in the season, it just seemed like he picked it up, which is interesting for someone that age. I feel like the second half of his season last year was far better than the first half of his season.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you say it was 2 years for 32.25?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I had too.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Well, and it's only $5 million this year?
$5 million cap hit for this year.
So
that's a nice contract for you guys.
Because they only guaranteed 16 on it. So
okay. Have you guys, Steelers, have you been kicking the tires on Kirk Cousins? I mean, it feels like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, you obviously want an old and injured quarterback. And so like he's the next man up at the plate, right?
He would be. I mean, if
don't take Flacco from us.
If you're going to challenge the 43-year-old, it's either got to be him or Phil Rivers coming in.
He's a coach now.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
That Cousins was going to Arizona. I read 2 days ago or 3 days ago, or maybe I heard it.
But they're going with Jacoby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jacoby's their starter.
Yeah, didn't they just sign him?
Yeah, they did. But like, is he better than Kirk Cousins?
I don't think so.
I will say this:
the
deal will never work. The deal will never work because the numbers are outrageous. But I do think Kyler Murray would be an amazing Steeler.
Too late.
You want a little baby running out back there in black and yellow?
I
They
think
had
he
Russell
could have.
Wilson.
I think he
Kyler's
could have
smaller,
been
right?
what we
Yeah,
wanted
He's an
Russell
inch
Wilson to be.
smaller.
he's
Yeah.
smaller, and he's in Minnesota.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's gonna shrivel
Yeah.
up from the cold.
Yeah, no, you need somebody that can look over the offensive line typically.
We'll see.
Typically.
Yeah,
Don't
typically.
listen to that. No, you don't.
Okay. All right. Browns time. All right. DGBG Cleveland saw the division and said, we're building a wall. So DGBG, Cleveland decided if they're going to compete here, they're protecting the quarterback first. So what did they do?
All right, so we re-signed, let's see, hold on.
See, I've got here's what I've got.
We signed Elton Jenkins, who plays center guard. We signed Zion Johnson as a guard, and then we went ahead and signed Quincy Williams as a linebacker to replace Devin Bush. Numbers are really decent on him when he was in with the Jets. 554 tackles, 58 for a loss, 12 and a half sacks, 21 QB hits. They also went ahead and signed Jack Stahl at tight end. It's more of a blocking tight end. But he did have a touchdown last year, and he had 6 catches for 46 yards. So that should replace Njoku, or at least give us another guy at the line to block. We went ahead and we re-signed Tavion Jenkins as a guard. And since let's see, our notable walks, if we're talking about offensive line, Wyatt Teller, who signed with Houston earlier today, Cam Robinson at tackle, Ethan Posick, we let walk, and Conklin, and we're still waiting on Batonio if he's retiring or not, but they didn't tender him or do anything like that.
Yeah.
One more notable outside of Njoku and Jerome Ford, Shelby Harris.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that nobody's picked up
there.
Njoku, by the way. Like, I think that Njoku would be great on the Ravens. I love him as a replacement for Likely. He's just that big-bodied kind of like physical tight end receiver type that can do some damage on both, like catching and blocking.
No disrespect to the Browns. I think Njoku personally is one of the most underrated tight ends. I think he hasn't had the consistency at quarterback to really show his skill set, but I think he's a bad dude.
Yep, I agree. Totally agree.
I would agree with that, but with Fannin stepping into that role that Njoku was supposed to dominate at, I don't see a need for Njoku. Now, if we're going to run 2 tight end sets, yeah, then you'd want a second receiving tight end. But I don't think that that's the way we're looking. I think we're expecting Jenkins to come back. I expect him to be 1,000-yard back. And, I'm looking at, they're going to start making moves. Well, in the draft, wide receiver is definitely a target area for them.
Yeah.
They did go ahead and exclusive right tendered tight end Brenton Bates and Winston Reed, linebacker, Dre, who's our kicker, they tendered, and Jamari Thrash, they also went ahead, along with Malachi Cooley. And they did offer a contract to Ronnie Hickman, who is a restricted free agent.
Yeah. It's really interesting. You kind of got a nation of domination on the offensive line there, and it's that's the kind of line you really like build whenever you don't know who your QB is, but he's going to be running for his life.
I think Shador is going to be the QB.
Okay, so that was my next question. Is that, in your opinion, you think that like Deshaun Watson will never ever step foot on the Brown soil as a Brown again, and you're just going with Shador?
No, I think Watson will play also.
Okay.
I think they're actually going to do a battle between the two, but I think everything that they're doing right now lines it up for Shador to be the quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I will say that.
Go
ahead.
ahead. If you're going to line him up at quarterback, you got to give the guy some weapons that can actually catch the ball, and you got to give him a little bit of time to make those reads.
I totally agree. He needs all the time he can get.
If you were sticking with like a Watson type of quarterback who's a little bit more mobile, then yeah, you could probably have gotten away with re-signing one of the tackles or whatnot. But you need to have with Shador back there, you got to have good blockers. He needs another extra second to a half a second to a second longer to complete the throws.
Yeah, it's been a really, really interesting like free agency for the AFC North. I'm sorry, guys, I'm just moving my notes around. So, yeah, I would say that I'm really curious to see what Monken does because he's such an offensive-minded coach. Like, does that route? I have serious questions still about the Browns on the defensive coordinating and on the defensive coordinating side of it. So, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out too. What do you guys think about the Browns?
The coach didn't change the personnel. The personnel is still the same.
Yeah.
You just got to find a guy that can coach to what the personnel does best.
Yeah, exactly. What Bengals Steelers? What are the takes on the Browns?
Yeah.
When does Deshaun? When are you finally free of him? 2027?
Next year. Yeah.
And then next year, as in like he's not going to be on the roster anymore in 2027, or as in like that's the last year on the roster.
That would be. I know that I read that they're talking about maybe extending money throughout the course of the next 4 to 5 years to help free up cap space to make signings now.
Okay.
But as far as like being on the roster, he doesn't have to be on after 27.
After 27.
Yeah.
Oh,
He'd still
God.
get a paycheck. It'd be like instead of Bobby Bonilla Day, you're getting Deshaun Watson Day for a couple of years.
Why don't you just cut him like Miami did with Tua? I guess actually, if you look at Miami, their highest paid player is Malik, and I think nobody gets paid more than 15 million.
I mean,
Yeah, I
well,
guess that's
Too big of a cap hit that you can't renegotiate or
No, I mean next
have
year.
that flexibility. I'm still thinking cap hit.
Still too big next year. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's 80 million this year or 160. I think it's 160 this year if they cut him. So yeah, I guess you guys are trapped. See, I don't think about Cleveland as long as you have that albatross around your neck. So it's just like there's only so good you can be unless you just have a miraculous draft.
Well, I guess the same could, when you look at it, and I'm looking up the actual number here. Contract status, the final year was 26. It's the original of the 5-year, 230 million fully guaranteed. They restructured it this year. A large portion of the 46 million base salary was converted into a signing bonus to reduce the cap hit, right? Cap impact. The restructure brought the team cap compliant, saving about 35.76 million in 26. Future dead cap in 27 and 28 is 86.2 million, right? So they're going to push that out over a couple of years. So it's not all absorbed in 27 and 28. You can probably look at that contract going all the way through 29 or 30, as far as cap hits for him.
The more I hear about the deal with Deshaun Watson, the more it just makes me shake my head. Like I know that like I remember when it first happened, DGBG, and we were just like, what?
At least our team had the balls to go through with something to make ourselves better.
Sure. Oh yeah. Man, what a wild time.
Got an owner that's willing to spend money. That's and that's all you can really ask for.
I think you can ask for more.
I think you can ask for more too.
Maybe but hey, it is what it is.
You can ask for discretion.
As for like a morality clause, maybe or something.
When they did that contract, right? That contract, and you look at that team, Nick Chubb was prime health.
Yeah.
You had OBJ right there.
No,
you had.
This is a bottom 1%. This was a bottom 1% outcome. Like you didn't expect to be terrible and to be injured, and for everybody else to like fall off a cliff,
and to have all the off-field issues that were going on. You take the swing, you pray that it hits, you pray that the league sees 6-game suspension. They came and did a 12-game suspension on the guy. Then he gets injured. So what did he play? Like 14 games in 2 years, if that, maybe 3 years.
I think also part of it too. Sorry to interrupt. I think also part of it too, DGB, for me, was that whenever they signed Watson, it was like the largest contract, right? It was like a monumental, groundbreaking contract. And then
largest guarantee. Yep.
All
that,
guaranteed.
yeah, it was largest guaranteed. And that set the tone. Then Lamar Jackson had to go and surpass that with
You're
his.
welcome.
No, it did not set the tone. Nobody else will do a fully guaranteed contract. Everybody pretended like that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, it's
but the number set the tone.
The number set the tone. I agree.
My head just spins every time I think about that contract. But okay, Chris, did you have anything to
add? Look out for running backs this year. I think that the running back position and role is going through a renaissance, and I think that this coming season you're going to start to see those fantasy football values for the running back role start to increase.
I would agree. Also, this year's running back draft class is pretty great.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're deep at running back. I think you're deep at wide receiver. I think even though you're not going to find a lot of stud tight ends in the draft, you're going to find quality tight ends throughout the draft. I don't know if you're going to find, outside of maybe the first 7 to 8 picks, that generational guy. I think all the way through round 5, you're going to be able to find guys that can contribute in a meaningful way. And it don't matter where they're picked or the position.
Yeah.
So doubling down on that fact, our Super Bowl MVP wide receiver, or excuse me, running back. And it's certainly been a while since we did have a running back score that honor heading into the Super Bowl. I mean, usually 9 times out of 10, it's going to be your quarterback, your wide receiver who lit up the scoreboard in that game. Rare for a running back to receive that honor. So good on him.
Yeah. All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for that wrap up for the AFC North and free agency. So let's talk about the league-wide chaos that's been going on real quick. So before we wrap, a few league-wide things that affect the AFC North picture. Malik Willis, $67.5 million for Miami. Bold. Daniel Jones, $88 million with the Colts off an ACL. That's bad. Also bold. Justin Fields goes to the Chiefs. So you go from one Kermit the Frog to another. You got backup chaos in the best team. Jalen Waddle goes to the Broncos, which is crazy. AFC West just got really spicy. And Stephon Diggs is released, right? And that's what nobody's picked him up. AJ Brown, I think, is still out there, right? Nobody signed him yet that I've heard. So, to me, all of this out there, like I said, there's still a lot of free agents that are out there that are really, really interesting and really, really good. But I'm kind of surprised that it's as quiet right now in free agency as it is. I expected a little bit more wheeling and dealing even after the first week, but to have it feel like there's only a little bit of news trickling out here and there about signings is interesting. What do you guys take on what the rest of the league is doing?
Nobody's going to touch this Diggs because of the legal issues. And if I'm not mistaken, AJ Brown is still an Eagle. So you got to make an offer for him.
Yeah.
As far as the rest of the league goes, I think Miami singling that they need to make a change and coming off of Tua, and then Tua going to Atlanta. I think that's pretty smart of them. I think that's smart.
Pretty smart of the Dolphins or of the Falcons?
Of the Dolphins.
Yeah, I would agree. I think getting rid of Tua is probably a good idea for the Dolphins.
And you know what? As far as the Falcons go, I don't think that's a bad backup to Penix.
I would agree with there too. I would definitely put Penix above Tua.
You're staying because Penix is a left-hander. You got Tua, who's the left-hander. So, you're getting a backup quarterback and you're not really worried about changing play calling. And you're not really all that worried about your left tackle or your right tackle having to switch things up. So I think that in and of itself made sense.
Yeah.
I think
that Justin Fields.
What about Justin Fields?
I think that Justin Fields signing is interesting. I mean, what's it, 4 teams for him in 4 seasons, but you land on the Chiefs, you're playing behind Pat Mahomes, which means your chances of touching the field are slim and none.
I don't know.
Excluding,
The ACL.
That's the same.
excluding
I'm
something
right there
bad
with you,
happening,
Rob.
excluding something bad happening. But to sit behind someone who, let's just say it, first ballot Hall of Famer, easiest decision I think that voting committee is ever going to have, sitting behind someone like that, learning from someone like that. I actually think Pat's a good dude too. So I don't think he's gonna Brett Favre and be like, "Hey, my responsibility." I think he'll say, "Oh, if you want to learn, come on in. Here's how we do this. Here's how I made this play. Here's how I did this. Here's what I saw here." And I think it'll give Justin the opportunity to develop that he hasn't had over the 4 seasons with the Jets and the Steelers
And the Bears.
And the
Bears.
I don't know. I think he's had plenty of time to develop. I just think he's not very good. I think,
agree.
yeah,
Agree.
like
Yeah,
the jury is no longer out, I think.
I was very perplexed by the Fields signing. It really kind of threw me for a loop. Also, while Patrick Mahomes may or may not be a very, good person, what I have heard from, around the league and like kind of researching this is that Pat Mahomes is a very clicky individual. He really likes his clicks. Like he and Kelsey go everywhere together. They do all it but not some of the other people will come in and even why is my brain forgetting the wide receiver Tyreek Hill, right? Tyreek Hill was there and he couldn't even be friends. He was trying to make friends with Mahomes, and Mahomes was like, "Cool, I'm gonna hang out with Kelsey. Bye," and so.
Would you want to hang out with Tyreek Hill?
Maybe for a minute because it could be entertaining. But
for the first part of the night, sure.
If I were still single,
yeah, he's about that strip club life.
Yeah,
but no, it's a really interesting signing. I don't know what to make of it, But then again, maybe Andy Reid sees something. I mean, he's a genius. I am clearly not. So maybe he sees something I don't. But it was a bit of a head scratcher.
Do you guys have any opinions on the Seahawks letting Walker go after scoring the Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, to me, it reminded me of right after we won the Super Bowl against the Niners that we let go of Anquan Bolden, who was our god at wide receiver. And that was heartbreaking. I still think that was a bad move by Oz Newsome. I don't agree all the time with everything the GMs do, even though Rob wants me to believe otherwise. but no, I thought that was really odd. But maybe there was something in the locker room that we don't know about. I don't know.
Okay, my son has been chomping at the bit something at the bit to say something, and he has an opinion about Walker. Is that his name?
Oh, Kenneth Walker.
K9.
K9?
Yeah, Kenneth Walker.
Okay. All right. There he is.
All right.
What's up, my man?
What's up?
This
What's
is Nico.
up, buddy?
Okay, so what's your
introduce yourself
opinion?
to the pod. If you're going to be a friend of the pod, who do we have here? What's your name?
I'll join in. Why not? So
this is Nico. Nico, say your name.
my name is Nico Gresses.
Yes, that's right.
What's up, Nico?
Hello. My opinion for the Kenneth Walker thing is that for K9, I feel like the Chiefs are not going to use him. I think they're going to use him better than the Seahawks for some reason because what they've seen, what he did with the Seahawks scheme, I feel like Andy Reid will click with him and when Kelsey is not open or whoever because the wide receiver room still is not amazing yet.
That's true.
Kenneth Walker might have an 1,000-yard season.
Yes, and Pacheco, they used Pacheco well for one season.
Yeah, they really did.
Okay, thank you, Nico. Thank you for
I like that take. That's something worth I think definitely considering. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate you.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, now go away.
So,
You have a Bengals take? What's your Bengals?
There's some teams that are out there that are just able to get these guys at values. The Patriots used to do it all the time. It just felt like guys would take half the salary to play for them. And I feel like the Chiefs are in that era right now. So for them to have both Pacheco and have Kenneth Walker in the backfield now, I mean, you've got Fields and you've got Mahomes. I mean, there's so many weapons on that team. I don't know how they're paying for these guys.
Yeah. It's definitely a mystery, but they're figuring it out one way or the other.
I want to hear the Bengals take.
Oh yeah, what's your Bengals take?
Yeah,
Nico?
what's your Bengals take?
So my Bengals take is that I feel like for the draft class, obviously the thing we need the most no longer is D-line because we've got two things for D-line. We don't need a safety. Our DB room's still pretty good. I think we actually might need a linebacker because
a linebacker.
Yeah.
We definitely need a linebacker.
Yeah,
So?
I would agree.
yeah, because like who's the best
3 or
linebacker?
4.
Styles.
Sony Styles. Look at the combine. Sony Styles had an amazing combine.
Yeah.
But also, remember what happened in 2017 when we got the
John Ross.
John Ross?
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't know why I got this like sixth sense of some sort that Sonny Styles is not going to be amazing. I don't know why.
Don't say that.
Oh.
Well, actually, if he doesn't go, well, that is a very hot take.
Wow.
That is a hot one.
I think okay. There is some
Sonny
reason
Styles does
Alright.
great at the combine, but like, completely craps the bed on everywhere else is what
Yeah,
you're taking.
but-
Well, it takes a while for linebackers to adjust to the league. That is true.
It's true. This prediction might age like milk or age like
Wine. I know you don't like wine, but yeah.
You're hilarious.
All right. Thank you, Nico. All right.
Amazing. Amazing. No,
Bravo.
I mean that's a pretty spicy take. That's a very spicy
Yeah,
take.
bravo.
By the way, guys, if you're watching this and you have your own set of takes, please go onto our website, afcnortherners.com. And if you see right at the very front, it'll say hot takes. Click on that. You can vote on hot takes that we've gotten, and you can also submit your own hot take and then get that voted on, and we'll be happy to talk about it on here. All right, guys. So real quick, rapid fire, 20 seconds or less. We'll start with the Bengals. Which AFC North team had the best free agency week? Go Bengals.
Which AFC North team had the best? I think Pittsburgh did.
Mm.
I mean, if it's tough. They got a lot of good players. I just don't know what to make of them because they don't have a quarterback, and it's super weird to me. I have to think that they know they have a quarterback, and I have to think it's Aaron Rodgers. So I think that's just how I'm reading them. Like, I'd be very surprised if they don't get him. So I think it has to be Pittsburgh. Then I will say the Bengals, and then I think both the Ravens and the Browns got worse personally.
All right. DGBG, who had the best free agency week in AFC North?
I don't want to be a homer, so I am going to say Pittsburgh because I do think the Pittman trade really does help out DK Metcalf there. And I think it gives another target for Will Howard to throw to because I think Howard's going to be the guy there eventually. After that, I am going to say we did because we addressed positional need, which helps us in the draft go for maybe not positional need with that 6th pick. Afterwards, I don't know, screw both you guys.
Awesome. Chris, what is your take?
I do think the Steelers are having a very solid free agency. And the reason is we're not randomly selecting players. We're selecting the guys that we need the most. We're filling the biggest gaps that we have on the team. And that's what I like about how we're addressing free agency. And then flip side of that coin, Rob, I'm sorry, man. I really need to see some firepower come in on the defensive side. I'm going to say the Bengals should think about free agency while they still have a chance. See who's still out there on that defensive side that you can start to shore up that side of the ball, because some of the games I saw last year where, those wide receivers on the Bengals side with Joe Burrow are lighting up the scoreboard, but if you can't stop anyone, you can't win any games.
Yep. I'm going to say that I have to agree. Like, I think that the Steelers had a pretty solid free agency. After that, I think that I would actually probably wind up saying that the Browns, I like what the Browns' moves were on the offense. After that, I got to say, like, I personally think the Ravens probably are kind of tied with the Bengals for third place in the worst, or rather of the best, however you want to phrase it, I guess. Like, lost a lot of players, got some good ones in, still got a lot of work and room to do. Like, just still a lot to do. Still a lot to do. If we had gotten Maxx Crosby and we had gotten Trey Hendrickson, my opinion would be totally different. But because we didn't, and we also wound up losing guys, free agency, it's a pretty rough one for a Ravens fan. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, no, I think I heard what you said. I'm willing. So the thing about the Browns is that they did well in free agency in the sense that they did as well as they could, but their situation means I think that they got worse as a team. So I'm willing to say that they made good moves. I still think that the Bengals are going to do a lot better on defense this year because I think the rookies are going to get better. Like I think Carter and Knight are going to do better than they did last year. I think Shamar is going to improve. I think Murphy is going to keep up how he did in the second half of last year. And stop whispering to me, Nico. And I think I think Golden is also going to get better as a defensive coordinator. So I mean I don't get why they didn't get a better linebacker. As for the big splash signings that Chris is wanting, I think that just rarely works out in free agency. Generally, big players in free agency, if they're available for a reason. There's always some
Didn't
concern.
work out for the Ravens.
What'd you say?
Didn't work out for the Ravens.
Well, yeah, I mean, like if I believed what Eric DeCosta said, I would say that yeah, the reason Maxx Crosby was as available as he was is that he was damaged goods. But like like I think who signed Jalen Phillips for like a crazy amount? Was it the Panthers?
So Jalen Panthers.
Okay, so yeah, that was like I thought that was a terrible signing. Like I think a lot of the big free agent swings I'm pretty sour on. I mean, they're not all going to be Saquon. A lot of them are going to be Deshaun.
Yeah. Well, guys, we covered the Ravens Crosby chaos and the Hendrickson pivot. We covered the Bengals going shopping. We covered Pittsburgh losing Minka and Cleveland rebuilding the offensive line as if they're preparing for siege warfare. So thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and like us on YouTube. You can also follow us on, we are on Instagram, TikTok, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. So at AFC Northerners. And if you want to support what we're building, you can check out our Patreon. So, and that link is in the description as well. Real quick, guys, any last words before we move on? Any closing thoughts?
Good for the Steelers that there weren't seismic shifts, understanding that we just changed coaches and entire regimes. I think that McCarthy feels that he's got a pretty good kit of parts there to get started with.
Yeah. DGBG?
Nico, come on back and give us another hot take next week.
Next week, Nico.
Oh,
yeah.
I have a final thought though. It's not a hot take or anything, but I also say we also cover my hot take.
Oh yes, in your summary, he noticed that you left out his hot takes, but
oh, sorry.
Hot take of the week.
This is what are you, a Zoomer? So yeah, they want to be seen. They want to be seen. Not like us Gen Xers. All right.
Very much a Bengals fan in the making.
Yes, just see us. We don't even have to do well. We just see us.
Yeah, well, like the Ravens didn't fumble the bag, but we definitely fumbled the physical. So, all right. Guys, thank you so much for being here for this. It was really exciting. It's always great to catch up with all of you. We'll be here next week. Hopefully, we might even be streaming live on Twitch and YouTube. We're going to try and make that happen. It's all in the works. Yeah, we're going to sign off as we always do with
Fuck the Patriots.
Patriots.
F them. Thank you, Nico.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.